Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying he previously contracted a parasitic worm that got into his brain and ate a portion of his gray matter before eventually dying off. This was revealed in a report today by the New York Times.
So naturally, we have questions. Can a worm actually eat part of a living human's brain? And do you need to worry about it? Fox 5's Teresa Priello talked to a doctor.
For a man known for making headlines with his bold and sometimes seemingly outlandish statements, this one may take the cake. Turns out it's real.
It's very common in Central America or South America and other parts of South Asia, where hygiene still is not as perfect as it ought to be.
The revelation from the presidential hopeful that there's a worm in his brain came from an unearthed divorce deposition back in 2012. The presidential hopeful said, quote, "I have cognitive problems clearly. I have short-term memory loss, and I have longer-term memory loss that affects me." Doctors first thought it was a tumor. Turns out it was a tapeworm feasting on his brain matter. Dr. Vibhuti Mishra explains.
It's not exactly a long, squiggly, moving thing that you imagine a worm to be, but it is a worm. So it's the larval stage of the worm, in the sense that it has jaws and mouth and all. That's completely nonsense. If there is food around, it'll suck it up and try to use. What kind of food can be around? Tissues, just fluid. You have a lot of fluid around in your tissues.
RFK has had his health challenges in the past, a history of cardiac issues, mercury poisoning from what he says is too many tuna sandwiches, and now this, a worm in the brain. It's unclear if RFK's worm is still dead in his body or if he got it removed. It's also not known if any of the issues he experienced have persisted.
Most often, we end up not treating a burn like that because it's not doing anything. It's calcified. It's end of its life. It's dead. You don't need to remove it. But if it's causing a problem, then you remove it by surgery.
Teresa Priello, Fox 5 News.
There are new reports revealing a very bizarre health concern for independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. New York Times reporting that during a 2012 divorce deposition, Kennedy said that doctors found a dead parasite in his brain. Kennedy disclosed that a doctor from New York Presbyterian Hospital said the abnormality on his brain scans was caused by a worm that got into his brain and ate a portion of it, and then it died, after some doctors concluded prior that he had a brain tumor. RFK Jr. not shying away from this bizarre report, instead doubling down on his want to debate Biden and Trump, posting on X, "I offer to eat 5 more brain worms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate," so making light of it. In a statement, Kennedy's spokesperson said he contracted the parasite during his travel as an environmental advocate, adding the issue was resolved more than 10 years ago and he is in robust physical and mental health.